This time, I just gotta pray that it works. Okay, that makes it looks like it's working. Now I just have to see if I'm actually live. Nope. Oh, hold on. Nope, that's just my story. It doesn't have me live. I don't know why I'm not freaking live. Let me see if I'm live on YouTube. Okay, I'm live on YouTube. Okay, well, I'm live on YouTube, but I'm not live on TikTok, and I can't do this forever. So, I guess it's just gonna have to be what it is. The one watching right now is me, so. I don't know why it's not working. It says it's connected, so I don't know why it's not working. All right, forget it. I guess we're just only gonna be on YouTube today, which kind of blows, but I'll just let the I'll just have to let the other crew to know to come on over to YouTube. It is what it is. I can't spend all day on this. As a matter of fact, let me just put out a little alert real quick, and I'll be able to. And we gonna get into this Job thing. Harper, I need you to bring me my phone. I said I need my phone because I'm still not live on TikTok. I don't know why, but I can't wait. So. And if you are on YouTube, thank you for being patient with me. I'm super new to this doggone live streaming thing, and it seems like every darn time it's something. Some kind of friggin' disaster. So, I only need, yeah, I just need it for a second. No, stay here, Harper. I'm gonna give it back to you. Okay. It's like every doggone time. So I'm just gonna tell the folks over on TikTok to come and see me on I'm gonna just post it super quick. Okay, so I am currently live streaming, but for some reason, it's not working on TikTok. So I'm on YouTube. You should come over to YouTube. The link is in my bio. But yeah, we're finishing up Job today. So come to YouTube. That's where we're doing it. If you're late, I'll catch you up. Okay, let's hashtag it. No, can here. You can give it back to her.
She needs her phone.
Oh. You can take this one too. You take this one too, Harper. Okay, close the door, please. Okay, enough dilly-dally. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry that 2 didn't go back down to 1. Anyway, this is where we're going to get started. We are on the book of Job, or as I like to call it, the book of employment. And while I wait for a couple more people to filter in, I want to talk about something I want to do going forward. Let's see, my thing just went down to 1, and that 1 is me. I'm gonna wait for a little bit longer, but after that, I'm gonna go ahead and dip out because this is so flippin' annoying. I'm doing this every time. Something always happening, but that's okay. We're here. I'm here, and if it's just me and the screen, that'll be perfectly fine too. As a matter of fact, I'm not even gonna look at my viewers or look at my feed or try to figure out what the heck is going on with TikTok because it doesn't even matter. So, when we last left off, we were on Elihu, and this was the young man giving wisdom to the old man, which is, of course, right on theme with Job, and it's lambasting of the concept of human wisdom. So this is actually Elihu's last little speech before God comes in, and then we finish up the book. My plan was to have a bit of a Q&A session after I was done, but it took so long to get the stupid stream set up that we may not be able to do that, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the darn thing. Let me see one more thing. With the live. See if it does anything. Anyway. I'm going to go ahead and get the party started. This is so strange to me. When I'm done with this, I'm going to play with the live streaming some more to see what the heck is wrong with it. But anyway. Elihu proclaims God's majesty is where we are right now. So he says, at this also, my heart trembles. So he's still going on about, he's still talking to Job. Oh, hold on. I don't even got the darn window up. At this also my heart trembles and leaps out of its place. Keep listening to the thunder of his voice and the rumbling that comes out of his mouth. Under the whole heaven he lets go, and his lightning to the corners of the earth. After it his voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice, and he does not restrain the lightnings when his voice is. Everything was fine. Everything's fine here on YouTube. I don't know why I can't stream on TikTok. It's not like the stream isn't coming up on TikTok for some reason. At least I tried to go on with another phone and it just wasn't working. And I'm just gonna have to figure it out later. It's probably my fault. I tried something new and it didn't work, I think, but I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. Let me see, where the heck was I? Oh, he thunders with his majestic voice. He does not restrain the lightnings. When his voice is heard, God thunders wondrously with his voice. He does great things that we cannot comprehend. For to the snow, he says, fall to the earth, likewise to the downpour, his mighty downpour. He seals up the hand of every man, that all men whom he made may know it. Then the beasts go into their lairs and remain in their dens. From his chamber comes the whirlwind and the cold from the scattering winds. So he's almost saying all of the stuff that God is going to come saying later. By the breath of God, ice is given, and the broad waters are frozen fast. He loads the thick cloud with moisture. The clouds scatter his lightning. Then they turn around and by his guidance to accomplish. Then they turn around by his guidance to accomplish all that he commands them on the face of the habitable world. Whether for correction or for his whether for collection or for his land, for love, he causes it to happen. I said collection, I mean for correction. So this is going back because we talked about this last time, but just a refresher. He starts off by telling, because Job was complaining that God won't listen to him or that God doesn't speak to him. And what Elihu was telling him is that God speaks through these things that he does. So it doesn't make sense to say that God ignores you and he won't speak to anybody when you have to listen. You have to listen to the voice of God through all of these things that are happening. Basically, you're so busy complaining about all the crap that's happening to you, you're not hearing what's being said to you. And so verse 14 says, "Hear this, Job. Stop and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know that God lays his command upon them and causes the lightning of his cloud to shine? Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wondrous works of him who is perfect in knowledge? You whose garments are hot when the earth is still because of the south wind. Can you, like him, spread out the skies hard or cast a metal mirror or oh, doggone it. Spread out the skies hard as a cast metal mirror." I always got to get a running start when I start reading at the beginning of these. I don't know why I'll be stumbling over my words at the beginning. Maybe I should warm up before I start doing this. Let me close my laptop because I'm looking at it on viewer count. Anyway. Can you, like him, spread out the skies hard as a cast metal mirror? Teach us what we shall say to him. We cannot draw up our case because of darkness. Shall it be told him that I would speak? Did a man ever wish that he would be swallowed up? So he's saying you want to lay out your case before God. You are sure that if you laid out your case before God, he would find you completely innocent. And he's saying, how could you possibly know that? How could God even hear your case? If that's like asking to be swallowed up, like your wisdom versus God's wisdom is basically what you want to say. And that's not going to end well for you. That's actually right on par with Till We Have Faces was probably, in my opinion, easily C.S. Lewis's best fiction book, maybe his best book, period, but definitely his best fiction book. And when he says, how can the gods meet us face to face till we have faces? It's basically what Elihu was saying here. He's like, you want to lay out your case before God as if you know what's happening, as if you can put all of the pieces together and say, see, God, this is why I don't deserve to have this happening to me. And God is going to say, oh, shoot, I didn't think of that. That's not how things work. And he says, no one looks on the light when it is bright in the skies, when the wind has passed and cleared them. Out of the north comes golden splendor. God is clothed with awesome majesty. The Almighty, we cannot find him. He is great in power, justice and abundant righteousness. He will not violate. Justice and abundant righteousness he will not violate. Therefore, men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise in their own conceit. So his problem again with Job is that he is wise in his own eyes. He thinks he's hot stuff. And even though he's going through all this, we feel sorry for Job. But it is sort of arrogant of Job to think that if he lays out a case before God, then basically he has a good case, because in this sense he is the defendant, or God would be the defendant, which would put Job in the role of prosecutor, who Satan was. Job is the accuser here. He's accusing God at the very least of incompetence. And so this is the end of Elihu's speech. So he was like a precursor to what God is going to say to him. Because now God comes down and he answers Job. And this is most people's favorite part. It's my favorite part too, other than Job's sarcasm. So he says, when the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man. I think it says gird up your loins in the King James. Basically, brace yourself is what he's saying. Oh yeah, Hebrew says grip your loins. Like, yeah, brace yourself, basically. I will question you, and you make it known to me. So this is kind of what God is doing here. He's saying, okay, I'll tell you what. Let's do, if we're going to keep our court metaphor going, we're going to do a cross-examination. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and let's see if you can answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. God being a little sarcastic too. Who stretched the line upon it, or where, or on what did its bases sunk? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst from the womb? When I made clouds its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band, and prescribed limits for it, and set bars and doors, and said, thus far shall you come and no further, and here shall your proud waves be stayed. Have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the skirts of the earth, and the wicked to be shaken out of it? It is changed like clay under the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and their uplifted arm is broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare if you know all this. Okay, so he's going to go on like this for a while. But I feel like a lot of people have a problem with the way God addresses Job here, because instead of coming and basically hearing Job out and hearing what he has to say, he's basically comes to him and says, who the heck are you? Who are you to accuse me? Like, I'm going to ask you these questions. And of course, these are all rhetorical questions. Job wasn't there when God created the earth. But what we realize, this isn't just God flexing. God is making a point here. Because remember, this whole thing is about wisdom, human wisdom versus God's wisdom, and sort of different tiers of human wisdom, because it started off with just the conventional wisdom that bad equals bad life, be good equals have a good life. But also with Elihu coming in, the young guy, the wisdom of age. Like the old people are supposed to be the wise ones, but the wisest one here, the only one that God doesn't rebuke, is the youngest one. The one through whom claims that God is speaking through him. So this is the young one. So it's not the wisdom of the ages or the wisdom of the aged, but God speaking. So the whole thing is setting up for God to be the only one who is wise, because they said that it's not just that Job is innocent. Job is innocent. It's that he's wise in his own eyes. He doesn't know why this is happening. And again, this was happening because God was vindicating Job. Satan's challenge Satan's challenge was to accuse Job. And God was trying to vindicate him, and instead Job turns around and starts accusing God. So we go on. He says, have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? What is the way to the place where light is distributed, or where the east wind is scattered upon the earth? Who has cleft a channel for the torrents of rain, and a way for the thunderbolt to bring rain on a land where no man is, on the desert in which there is no man? To satisfy the waste and desolate land, and to make the ground sprout with grass? Has the rain a father, or who has begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb did the ice come forth? And who has given birth to the frost of heaven? The waters become hard like stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. And we're just going to have to enjoy this for a second, because all of this is God making that point. So you kind of got to appreciate the poetry for a minute. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? These are constellations. Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth in its season, or guide the bear with its children? Do you know the ordinance of the heavens? Can you establish their rule on the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, that a flood of waters may cover you? Can you send forth lightnings, that they may go and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts, or given understanding to the mind? Who can number the clouds by wisdom, or who can tilt the waterskins of the heavens when the dust runs into a mass, and the clods stick fast together? So we've kind of moved on to a different part here. We're saying, who has put wisdom in the infant parts, or given understanding to the mind? So you're claiming that you are wise, wiser than me, basically, that you know everything, that you know what's going on. And he's saying, who was it that put wisdom in you and gave your mind understanding? And can you hunt the prey for the lion? Can you satisfy the appetite of young lions when they crouch in their dens, or lie in wait in their thicket? Who provides for the raven its prey when its young ones cry to God for help and wonder for lack of food? Yeah, they didn't miss the whole I got started so late on the doggone stream because for some reason I could not get it up on TikTok. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of annoying, but I'm new to this whole thing. This is only my third stream, so I guess there's bound to be some kinks to work out. But you haven't missed much. We pretty much just the part when God's telling Job off, and he's making his point about how, Job, you basically don't know anything. You think you have all this wisdom, but you're literally nothing. And I have to add that this isn't to break Job down necessarily. It accomplishes breaking Job down. Yeah, I kind of I'm more used to streaming on TikTok. I'm more used to doing everything on TikTok, because TikTok is just like my main platform. But I'm trying to do more on YouTube anyway, because, well, one, long form content just seems to be better for the educational stuff, and I got to get better at talking on the fly too. No jump cuts when you're live, unfortunately. But don't know what the heck is going to happen to TikTok. TikTok is still very much up in the air as far as that ban goes. So anyway, but yeah, 38 and 39 are a lot of people's favorite chapters of Job. They're my favorite chapters too. Where am I at? Who provides for the raven its prey when its young ones cry to God for lack of food? Well, there's plenty of arguing. It just takes place in the comments instead of in videos, because who the heck is going to sit there and make I'm not going to do a 10-minute video going back and forth with somebody. I just say what I said. And you can like it or not. Plenty of commenting in the arguments. Plenty of arguing in the comments. I've already had somebody tell me that I was deceived by Satan and I need to repent because I went after Creflo Dollar. So, looking forward to a lot more of that. That's going to be fun. I always know that I'm doing good when the crazies are the ones who are against me. But okay, now on chapter 39. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you observe the calving of the you reserve the calving of the does? Can you number the months that they fulfill, and do you know the time when they give birth? When they crouch, bring forth their offspring and are delivered of their young. Their young ones become strong. They grow up in the open. They go out and do not return to them. Who has I lost my spot? They go out and do not return to them. Who has let the wild donkey go free? Who has loosed the bonds of the swift donkey, to whom I have given the arid plain for his home, and the salt land for his dwelling place? He scorns the tumult of the city. He hears not the shouts of the driver. He ranges the mountains as his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. Is the wild ox willing to serve you? Now, this wild ox, we know, well, we may not know, but I think we know that in the King James renders this as unicorn. And oh my God, so many people talking about the Bible says there are unicorns. There are unicorns in the Bible. But I think wild ox is the most popular translation for what this animal actually is. Because, of course, unicorn just refers to something with a horn. And they assume it's a wild ox, probably just because of how he describes. He says, is the wild ox willing to serve you? Will he spend the night at your manger? Can you bind him in the furrow with ropes? Hold on. As a matter of fact, before I go into this thing with the wild ox, let me go back to what he was saying about the donkey and the birds and the calving and stuff like this. Because it seems to me, he's telling Job, like, I set up this entire system. I know everything that's going on. So you're looking at this whole situation you're in from this limited human perspective. And I think that's what he's really doing with this, is putting things into perspective for Job. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I didn't think of it that way. But he's like, the lens that you're looking through is so unbelievably tiny compared to the lens that I look through. I set up every little thing in this intricate system. Things that you know nothing about. Things that happen all the way out in the wild. You don't know what's going on in the wild. You don't know what the deers are doing. You don't know what the donkeys are doing. You don't know anything. All you know is what's happening in your life. And you're going on with your friends about how unwise they are. Meanwhile, you think you know everything. You think you've got it figured out when you literally know next to nothing. And what you do know is what I've given you. But now we're going into not just the wisdom, but power. It says, is the wild ox willing to serve you? Will he spend the night in your manger? Can you bind him in the furrow with ropes? Or will he herald the valleys after you? Will you depend on him because his strength is great? And will you leave him to your labor? Do you have faith in him that he will return your grain and gather it to your threshing floor? Do you give the horse its might? Do you clothe his neck with the mane? And do you make him leap like the locust? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws the valley. He paws the valley and exults in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword. Upon him rattle the quiver and the flashing spear and the javelin. With fierceness and rage, he swallows the ground. He cannot stand still at the sound of the trumpet. When the trumpet sounds, he says, aha! He smells the battle from afar, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. This is the war horse you talked about. Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads its wings toward the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high? On the rock he dwells and makes his home, on the rocky crag and stronghold. From there he spies out, and that goes my laptop. And from there he spies out the prey, his eyes behold it from far away. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is he. So that's the end of chapter 39. So basically, like I was saying, God is putting things in perspective from Job. You have such a tiny little itty bitty limited perspective, and I see all of this. I not only know this, but I know the reason all these things happen. I know the reason all these things happen. So obviously I know the reason these things are happening to you. I haven't taken my eyes off of you. I'm not doing this for no reason, and I'm not going against justice. You just don't know what's going on with you, just like you don't know why any of this happens. And he says to Job, chapter 40, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer it. So that's what it is right there. He says, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? If you have a problem with me, say something. Basically. But before you say something, what about these questions? What do you have to say to all this? If you have a problem with this, do you have a problem with any of this other stuff that I named? And Job answered the Lord and said, behold, I am of small account. See, and that was the whole point right here. And this is why I say that people who rail against Job, people who like talk about Job because of how cruel and awful God is like, if you really understood Job, you probably still wouldn't like Job. Yes, this is why I hate it. It's not even that I hate it. I kind of just laugh at it when people talk about how the Bible was written by illiterate goat farmers. I'm like, have you seen this stuff? Could you write anything like this? I couldn't. And I do quite a bit of writing. What do you say? I'm small. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once, and I will not answer. Twice, but I will proceed no further. And God was like, nah, we're not done. We're not done. I got some more to say. So he's already shut Job completely down. And the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, dress for actions like a man. I will question you, and you make it known to me. Will you even put me in the wrong? Will you condemn me that you may be in the right? Have you an arm like God? And can you thunder with a voice like this? And here's the thing. This right here, another big one. Will you condemn me that you may be in the right? Here's the thing. We know Job is innocent. But just like Job doesn't know why God is doing this, Job also doesn't know that Job is innocent. Job hasn't, now he is innocent, so he does know that, but Job has taken it to a point of maintaining his innocence to a point. Job has taken maintaining his innocence to a point where he is willing to put God in the wrong. He says that I am right. What I'm doing is good. And because of that, Job, just like Job's friends were reasoning that, well, Job, you must have done something wrong. Job started reasoning that, well, no, God overlooks the wicked. Because look, they live forever. They're good. He doesn't punish the wicked. Meanwhile, the innocent suffer. So that's why he's saying that. That's why I said he's almost accusing God of being incompetent. But just like the friends had to accuse Job of doing something wrong because they were afraid that their wisdom wasn't holding up, Job was kind of afraid that his wisdom wasn't holding up too. Because he's like, I'm innocent, therefore God must be in the wrong. And that's why I said, will you condemn me that you may be right? How are you going to pull that off? Have you an arm like Job? Have you an arm like God? And can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Pour out the overflowings of your anger and look on everyone who is proud and abase him. Look on everyone who is proud and bring him low, and tread down the wicked where they stand. Hide them all in the dust together. Bind their faces in the world below. Then will I also acknowledge to you that your own right hand can save you. So dang. He's saying, okay, you think you can save yourself? You think you can justify yourself? Like pass judgment on yourself? Pass judgment on everybody else then, Job. Look down on everyone who was proud and abase him. I think God's tone was angry. Yeah, I do think God's tone was angry because of the accusations. Because it's like he said, will you condemn me that you may be in the right? I don't even think it was so much that, because again, Job is innocent. He's right about his being innocent, but he was so indignant about it that he started accusing God of being incompetent. And he's like, okay, now you're taking it too far. Doggone it. It's like I was trying to think of an example for a second. I couldn't think of one. I'm going to think of one in a minute too. But he says, where are you? Oh, then I'll also acknowledge you that your own right hand can save you. Because remember, Job's whole thing was that if I can lay my case out before God, then he'll have to let me off the hook. And God is like, you think you can save yourself? You can't. Behold, Behemoth, which I made as I made you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold, his strength in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs are bars of iron. He is the first of the works of God. Let him who made him bring near his sword. For the mountains yield food for him, where all the wild beasts play. Under the lotus plants he lies, in the shelter of the reeds in the marsh. For his shade the lotus trees cover him, the willows of the brook surround him. Behold, the river is turbulent, and he is not frightened. He is confident though Jordan rushes against his mouth. Can one take him by the eyes, or pierce his nose with a snare? Oh, so we're doing two creatures here. And I'm just going to put this out there. I do not believe these are dinosaurs. I don't believe these are dinosaurs. I think these creatures are I don't think these are real creatures at all. I think they are meant to represent, because what God's talking about now is his power over creation. So I think the Behemoth and the Leviathan are meant to represent the land and the sea that God has the power over. Because especially Behemoth doesn't really appear much in script. I think it's mentioned one other time, but Leviathan actually appears in other ancient Near Eastern literature, and it appears in myths. Like I think it appears in the Enuma Elish. It has a different name, but it's like this. It's basically like this sea dragon, right? And they talk about sea serpents all the time. It just represents the chaos of the sea. Because, the entire creation story, or most of the creation story, is like some of it is God taming the chaos of the world. It started off, it was void and without form, or tohu vohu, I think is the Hebrew, which is wild and waste if you translate it literally. But it's basically just an unlivable, barren, chaotic mess. That's how it was. And that's what Leviathan represents. The same thing. It represented the chaos in the sea. Yeah. The Behemoth doesn't... the funny thing about Behemoth is it doesn't appear in the other ancient Near Eastern literature. It only appears in the Bible. But Leviathan appears in other places, but yeah, it represents the exact same thing. You got to remember one thing about these, and I hate it when people are afraid of things appearing in the Bible that are in other ancient Near Eastern literature, because if we're talking about real things, then yeah, other cultures are gonna know about it. So it's weird that people are like so odd about that, and we're talking about a culture that was in the ancient Near East. Yeah, God called them out and he set them apart, but they still had a lot of the same culture. So they're going to draw on a lot of the same ideas, but much different. Like in the Enuma, for example, what's that god's name? Tiamat or something like that. He created the world by slaying a dragon or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he created the world by slaying a dragon and split it apart and things like that. Yeah, the creation. And if you look at the creation narratives, that's why I say the creation story in Genesis is sort of what's the word? It starts with a P. Dang, I don't know why I can't think of words today. Polemic. It's polemical. Because, of course, these other cultures, especially the Babylonians, they're like, the gods created these things so that we could serve. They created humans because they were doing all this work on the earth and they wanted humans to do all the work instead of them. And he created the sky by slaying this dragon. And the Israelites, they come along and say, yeah, God created all of this stuff. And God created man in his image. He didn't create us to be slaves for him. He made us in his image. So, yeah, they're going to have similar things, but it's almost like, and, there's a sort of a microcosm in it, and I'm getting off subject here, but there's sort of a microcosm in it in God calling out Abraham. Abraham was Mesopotamian. So, he says, okay, I know that you're a part of this culture, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pluck you out of there, and I'm going to teach you how things really ought to go. So yeah, of course there's semblances of those stories, but we have God setting the record straight. But yeah, so yeah, I say all that to say I do think Behemoth and Leviathan are metaphors for God, like taming the wild, basically setting the world in order. He said, can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose, or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many pleas to you? Will he speak to you soft words? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a small bird? Will you put him on a leash for your girls? Will traders bargain over him? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hands on him. Remember the battle. You will not do it again. Say, you won't do it again if you do it once. Behold, the hope of a man is false. He is laid low even at the sight of him. No one is so fierce that he dares to stir him up. Who then is he who can stand before me? So he was talking about all of that. He was saying, can you do these things? These obviously impossible things? Because he's saying, if you can't do that, how are you going to stand before me? How are you going to do that? It's like the power scalers, like the anime power scalers. When they always say like, oh, can he beat Goku though? That's kind of what God is doing here when you think about it. God is power scaling because he's like, okay, can you beat these things? Because if you can't beat these things, you can't stand before me, because I outscale the Leviathan Behemoth by miles. So he says, who has first given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. This is a big one, because the whole thing is about Job getting what he deserves, basically. And Elihu brought this up when he said, how does it benefit God if you're righteous? Like, what does God get out of you being righteous? And if you're evil, how can you hurt God? And God is basically saying the same thing. Like, you think that you deserve a good life because you're good. And he says, who has first given to me that I should repay him? You don't deserve squat. Not from me, because you didn't give me anything. Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not keep silence concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his goodly frame. Who can strip off his outer garment? Who can come near him with a bridle? He's talking about Leviathan again. Who can open the doors of his faith? Around his teeth is terror. His back is made of rows of shields, shut up closely with a seal. No one is near another, one is so near another that no air can come between them. They are joined to one another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go flaming torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. This is another reason I think people are reaching when they try to say that this is a dinosaur. It literally breathes fire. Out of his nostrils come forth smoke, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame comes forth from his mouth. In his neck abides strength, and terror dances before him. The folds of his flesh stick together, firmly cast on him and immovable. His heart is hard as stone, hard as the lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the Almighty are afraid, and at the crashing they are beside themselves. Though the sword reaches him, it does not avail, nor the spear, the dart, or the javelin. Who's throwing darts? He counts iron as straw and bronze as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. For him, sling stones are turned to stubble. Clubs are counted as stubble. He laughs at the rattle of javelins. His underpants are like sharp pot shards, pieces of pot. He spreads himself like a threshing sledge on the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. Behind him, he leaves a shining wake. One would think the deep to be white-haired. On the earth, there is not his like, a creature without fear. He sees everything that is high. He is king over all the sons of pride. So yeah, that was him going on more and more about Leviathan. And so now here's Job's answer. I know you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides his counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. So now Job gets it. He doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks he knows what's happening. And again, we know what's happening because we have a prologue. Some people say it was a dragon, but if it were a dragon and dragons were not mythical, would it be in the ocean? Yeah. Probably wouldn't be in the ocean. Or maybe we would have found one. Which is weird because there is like what is that thing? The Mosasaurus or something that's like, when I first saw the skeleton, I was like, that's a Leviathan. But it was, I don't know. I don't want to get too controversial, but the young earth creation stuff just doesn't work for me. And I don't think it's necessary. As a matter of fact, I think it's a bad reading of the creation story. But maybe we'll talk about that another day. But yeah, so now Job gets it. He didn't understand what was going on. So he says, hear and I will speak. I will question you and you make it known to me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. I don't think this part gets enough credit. Because he said, I've heard of you, but now my eyes see you. And I think that is all of us. Because he basically knew of God with head knowledge. he was considered wise because he knew the statutes and he obeyed the statutes, and but the second things didn't go the way that he wanted them to go. He was like, oh, well then it doesn't fit into what I thought I knew about God. But when he actually sees God face to face, he realizes that there are no categories you can put God into as a human. You just can't do it. And again, this is the reason why a lot of people really won't like the messaging in Job. But it is what it is. God is so incredibly far above us that sometimes we can't understand things. So when you like to, bring up kids with cancer and throw it in our faces, we can give answers, And I also think this is not an indictment, but it's a bit of a check on going too hard on apologetics. Because, yeah, when people say certain things, we can give answers. And some of these might be good, well-reasoned answers. But at the end of the day, God is sovereign. We don't know why kids get cancer. We know that, sin and the fall and the earth is corrupt because of that. But why does God allow some kids to get cancer and not others? We don't know. And if we, like Job and his friends, try to act like we do know, that's the problem. Yeah, but so Job repented. He repented in dust and ashes. So after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to, because now he's going to go off on his friends. The Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my anger burns against you and against your two friends who have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Therefore, take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer up a burnt offering for yourselves, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept his prayer not to deal with you according to your folly, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamite went and did as the Lord told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. So, God said that Job spoke right about him, and his friends didn't. So, how does that work, though? Because he was just going off on Job. I think it was because, again, Job got a little big for his britches. Job didn't know his place. He knew that he was innocent, but he asserted his innocence to the point where, we say, let every man be a liar and let God be true. He was like, I will be true even if that makes God a liar. And I think that is the problem. I was actually just talking about slavery in my first principles class on, what's today? Friday? 2 days ago, on Wednesday. I was talking about how I don't like a lot of the apologetic solutions for slavery in the Bible, because they seem like that some of them are stretches, especially like the gradual revelation thing, where it's like, oh, why didn't God just abolish slavery? It's because, this isn't what they say, but this is what they imply. Well, he wanted to, but he was kind of trying to ease them. He was trying to ease them out. Like it would have been too much too fast to just abolish slavery. And I'm like, that's bullcrap. Because first of all, we have an example of God doing that, and he did it with divorce. So, and that's explicit. So if God did that with slavery, it would be explicit. And we don't have examples of God doing anything else. But I think what answers like that do is that it's running defense for God. Basically, it's saying that, okay, this is bad. And instead of saying God is good and our understanding is limited, instead they say this is bad, and we say, yes, this is bad. So let's figure out a way to absolve God of this thing that is clearly evil without even asking, is it evil just because we say it is? Because we feel like it's evil? Because to say it's evil would be to say it's not evil be a really, really, really bad look. But we don't want to do that. We don't say let God be true and let every man be a liar. Or we take that, we take that up to a point. At some point we're like, okay, at this point, every man doesn't have to be a liar. Maybe we can both be true. It's not how it works. And I think that was God's problem with Job. That Job was arrogant, basically. But what he said was true. He was innocent. Whereas the friends, on the other hand, didn't say what was right about God because they said he was punishing God for his sin. That's actually why I don't think God's tone was super harsh, because he said Job spoke. Yeah, he said that Job spoke, because Job did speak correctly about him. Job was right about God. He was wrong about himself. He just thought that he was Job was arrogant. That was Job's big problem, is that he was arrogant. Whereas his friends were just slandering Job. They were doing what I was just talking about, trying to run defense for God, and they were slandering Job in order to do it, saying that God is punishing you. God is punishing you. God is always going to do this. And God is like, you guys didn't speak right about me. You said that I was punishing you. Basically, you accused me of punishing an innocent man. So what you guys said wasn't right. So the Lord accepted Job's prayer after he made an offering. And then the Lord restores Job's fortunes. And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then it came to him and all his brothers and sisters. Then it came to him and all his brothers and sisters and all who had known him before, and ate bread with him in his house. And they showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil. And see, this is what he wanted in the first doggone place. All his brothers and sisters and all who had known him, they came for him. And they showed him sympathy and comforted him. That's what he was asking for from his friends. But they didn't like his complaining. But all the evil that the Lord brought on him, and each gave him a piece of money and a ring of gold. And the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. And he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first daughter Jemima. How about that? Jemima, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen. Karenapuk. I can't pronounce that. Karen. He called her Karen. And in all the land there were no women so beautiful as Job's daughters. And their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. And after this, Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons 4 generations. And Job died an old man full of days. So, some people think the ending of Job is tacked on. Because God just suddenly restores everything. And some people don't like the ending of Job because they're like, okay, so does God blessing Job make everything okay, all that he went through? And no, God being God makes it okay because God decides what's okay. But I don't think the point of this is that Job gets a consolation prize. This wasn't God saying like, oh, sorry about that, Job. Here, take a bunch of stuff. The point of this was that God, remember, God's whole purpose in doing all this stuff to Job was to vindicate him, to show that he was a righteous man, because Satan was accusing him of faking the funk, basically. So he vindicated Job. Once all this was done, yes, Job was a little arrogant. He started talking a little reckless, but at the end of the day, he was still righteous and he had been vindicated. So now that all of that was done, of course he's going to restore all of Job's stuff because he was still a righteous man. The whole point of this was, yes, that God is being just and God can do whatever he wants, which is why I say thank God that God is good. Because imagine if God could do whatever he wanted but was not good. That would be literal hell. So yeah, I don't think this is a consolation prize for Job as much as it is God loving Job and honoring him because he was a righteous man. And I don't want to say he passed the test because the test wasn't really of Job, but he just he returned things to the way they were. And so Job gets a happy ending, a sort of happy ending. He still, they came and comforted him for all the stuff that happened to him. So it's not like he didn't live with that. But yeah. So the moral of the story, you know nothing. God knows everything. And that's Job. So next time on Dragon Ball Z, I think we decided on Hebrews. And that's what we're gonna do. The schedule is gonna be as such. I want to Oh, that's YouTube. I was gonna say, is that my TikTok chat? Yeah. So the schedule is gonna be as such. I have a class that I do at my church that I was doing on the first Wednesday of every month, but I want to start doing it weekly. And because of that, I'm going to start doing that on Fridays. Of course, anyone is welcome to join me. Oh, I'm sure Job. Well, you know what's funny about Job living life with more humility after that? I think a great thing is that one thing that he mentioned more than once was that the thing that he feared had came on him. So he was doing all of these things. New Street Fighter 6 characters was just announced. Dude, I gotta check that out. Speaking of which, probably isn't the thing to talk about now. But I know you've seen that new Marvel fighting game that's coming out. They basically making Marvel vs. Capcom without the Capcom. But anyway, I'm going to be doing first principles on Fridays. So that is for anyone who doesn't know, who doesn't go to my church, which would be, basically everybody. Oh yeah. I try to do that. I'm still used to the streaming thing. Um, but I'm going to be for doggone it. Now I'm just reading stuff out loud. Um, yeah, we're gonna start going over different. I actually do different topics when I talk about that. Like last time I talked about slavery. Like before that, we were just going through some things in Exodus. So that's actually more topical. It's not just going through the Bible. And I'm going to stream the Bible studies on Mondays and Tuesdays. So the stream days are going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. I might not do a Tuesday every now and then if I have to do a lesson. But yeah, that's gonna be my schedule that I'm gonna keep. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, 6 to 8. I wish I could stream longer, but unfortunately, the 9 to 5 sucks. I also have a family. That doesn't suck, but it does take time. Also, and this is just one more housekeeping thing before I log off. This isn't so much a plug as it is me being excited. Oh, hold on, I'm trying to turn this. What version of the Bible? I'm using the ESV right now, but the more I read it, the more I don't like it. I've been using the CSB lately and everything else, and I think I like the CSB better. Some of the choices the ESV makes are just kind of weird to me. Like the whole gird up your loins. It said like dress for action or some crap. I'm like, dude. Yeah, so I might switch to the CSB, but I've been reading the ESV this whole time. But I'll say what translation I'm using whenever I start. Notification can turn on? Heck yeah. Let's go. We're going to get these notifications. And I promise I'm going to get this streaming thing together. It's going to be smooth. I just got to figure it out and actually find time to sit down and figure it out because my days are so hectic. That's why I still got on my Fago shirt. I haven't even had time to change since I got off work. So things be hectic. Also, but oh, that last housekeeping thing I was going to talk about was I did a poll. I'm going to be doing another these. I don't know if I'm going to do it live or not, but I'm going to be going over another sermon. Philip Anthony Mitchell won the poll. Yeah, brace yourself like a man is what the NIV says. But yeah, I did a poll on who I should go over between. As a matter of fact, King Arthur, I think you were talking about that. I think you were. I think you saw that poll. I'm gonna be doing Philip Anthony Mitchell. He won the poll, which I'm honestly kind of glad about because I don't want to be the guy who only does bad sermons. Like I don't want to be another quote unquote heresy hunter. I like hunting heresy, but one, you can only listen to so many bad sermons before you start feeling like crap about like the state of the church and you start crashing out. Sometimes you need a palate cleanser, and so I want to do Philip Anthony Mitchell because I don't want to just do bad sermons. I want to do good ones too. You said it sounds like I got TikTok working. Did I? I don't think I did. Am I live on TikTok? I don't think I am. I don't see anything in my chat. I don't know. If I am live on TikTok, I'm about to sign off because one, I'm starving. And two, we just finished Job. So that's it. So I plan on bouncing back from Old Testament to New Testament. Oh no, I wasn't reading TikTok comments. I was just talking. No, I don't know. I don't know why the heck TikTok is acting funny. I gotta figure out what's going on with it because last time I couldn't see my TikTok chat. This time I can see the chat, but I can't get the stream up. So I don't even know why the chat is showing when I'm not streaming. It's weird. But I think it's because I did this canvas thing to try to basically make the TikTok vertical instead of horizontal, and that might have screwed something up. So I got to figure it out. I'll get it figured out. In the meantime, I appreciate y'all stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I will catch y'all on Monday. We're going to start Hebrews on Monday, Tuesday. So I will see y'all there. Peace, love, and soul.